How far off can they hear you?
Well, let's
Like
just,
I'm talking now?
Yeah, let's try it and see how she sounds. What I like to do is to just have you begin by talking about when you grew up, what your family did, schooling, and how you broke into baseball. Just as the memories come back to you, and then I have your record here. We pick out a few of the high spots as we go along. So you just start talking then.
Wasn't many high spots in there. I was never with that kind of a club. I think you can hear me at this distance.
We can put it over here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I tell you, is it on now?
Yep.
Okay, I started I played baseball all my life as long as I can remember from the time I was a kid. And I went into the Navy in 1917. And when I went in there, I was playing with a semi-pro team over in New Jersey. And I was an outfielder, a pitcher. No, I wasn't a pitcher. I was just an outfielder. And when I got in the Navy, they needed a pitcher, so I volunteered to pitch. And from then on, I was a pitcher. And I come out of the Navy and went in for semi-pro ball over in New Jersey. And in 1924, I signed with the Yankees.
Is this date right in the encyclopedia? You're born January 27, 1896?
1896.
83 years old?
I'll be 84 this month.
Right. And Ridgefield Park, New Jersey?
Right.
And whereabouts, is that North Jersey?
It's, you know where Englewood is, or Hackensack?
Yeah.
It's right in that area there. It's just a short way out of New York, about 6 miles out of New York.
What'd your family do? What'd your dad do?
My dad was a milkman. He drove a milk wagon. And at one time he owned a dairy. But he loved to gamble, and he gambled his dairy away. And finally wound up driving the milk wagon.
Did he play any ball himself?
He never played. He was born in Ireland.
Oh,
My mother and father both were born in Ireland, and he didn't know baseball from a balloon.
When did they come over?
Oh, they came over when they were real young.
They didn't get married till they were here then?
They didn't get married till they were over here. And had 9 children. I was the 7th son.
What was Alex? Is he
Alec,
older? Yeah, he's older.
Alec was older than I was. He passed away last February. It'll be a year this February. He lived out in California, in Santa Monica.
He was a catcher, right?
He was a catcher with the Giants, and went back to the International League, and then came back up with Boston.
Were your teammates there?
He and I were teammates at Boston for one season there.
So, how about your first, you played sandlot ball, you say?
Sandlot ball.
In North Ridgefield, or?
In Patterson, New Jersey, they had a silk mill team over there. The Patterson Silk Sox. It was a good, in those days they had real good semi-pro clubs, real top-notch clubs. And that's where I went from there to the Yankees. I signed with the Yanks in 24.
Well, what about 1920 and all those early 20s? Were you playing ball then?
I was playing with these semi-pro clubs around New Jersey.
Did you have a job then?
Yeah, I worked over in the county clerk's office in New York.
I see.
And
excuse me.
I wasn't in any hurry to sign because I was making, I had my job. I was making $50 a game, and then was good money up around Philadelphia and Connecticut and so forth. I'd sneak off once a week on the job.
How many games a year did they play?
They played Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. And you had a regular contract with them,
too. Is that right?
Yeah. It was a good outfit. We played teams like, you wouldn't know them, the Bushwicks and these colored teams. They had some real good colored teams.
Tony was telling me about that this morning.
Oh, yeah.
The Bushwicks.
They had some real good colored teams. And those days there wasn't any colored ball players in the big leagues, playing big league ball.
Did you have some ambition to be in the big leagues?
Never gave it a thought about being. Isn't that funny? I never gave it. I just loved to play, and I just naturally drifted into it. That was all.
Did you go to the games, the big league games much?
I went to them when my brother was signed with the Giants in 2021. 20 or 21. And I used to see quite a few games. And of course, I didn't get to see many because I was working, and then when I wasn't working, I was playing ball. But we saw the World Series of 21, 2 and 3 World Series.
Who was the Yankee scout that finally?
Paul Critchell. And remember Ed Barrow? He was the general manager in those days. Came over from Boston and
Brought Ruth with him. And then all the other players too.
He brought half the Boston club with him.
Ruined it.
In fact, that's what made the Yankees.
Yeah.
See, they had Wade Hoyt. When I was with the Yanks, they had Hoyt, Sharkey, Pennock, Joe Bush. See what a club they had. They had Ruth, Musial, Gehrig. Gehrig wasn't there when I was in 24. I roomed with Lou down in New Orleans the year I was with the Yankees, and they sent him back to Hartford. But the next year he came up, and if you remember, he had that long streak where they never got him out.
Wally Pipp had a headache or something.
He got out, he never got back in again.
That was the worst headache he ever had.
It was a long headache he had. Gary gave him a headache. But he was a good friend of mine, Lou.
Did you go, they invite you to New York to sign the contract? Or?
Yes, he called me over there and asked me what I wanted to sign. And my brother had been in the leagues, you see. He had played ball since 1914. And he knew the ropes. So I was a pretty independent kid then. I said, well, I'll take this and that. And Barry said, you're mighty independent, aren't you? I said, yes, sir. He said, I like that. I like that.
What was that Barrow like? I mean,
he was a nice, he was big and blustery, but he was a fair guy. He was nice. And at that time, Rupert and Houston owned the club. And that's where they had their troubles. They had two factions on the club. And Miller Huggins was the manager. One of the best managers I ever played for, I think.
is that right?
Yeah.
Did you get much money that first year? Or?
I got $5,000 the first year I played, which wasn't bad.
And you stayed right with the team? You didn't?
No, I
didn't
went down to spring training in New Orleans and made the team that year. Then I never played minor league ball. I played 11 years in the majors, and when I was finished up there, well, I had to get out because my arm went bad. So I got out. And since then, I've been rumbling around doing all kinds of things.
Oh, that is interesting. You jump right to that. First,
Yeah,
that
there was-
stand-up ball did a lot to prepare.
Well,
you.
as I say, now they don't have those kind of clubs on the sandlots now.
George
You-
Yulee jumped right from a team in Cleveland
Yeah.
from San Luis to the Indians.
I had a letter, it's around here somewhere, from Tris Speaker to join the Cleveland club when before Yulee joined him.
Yeah.
And the day that I got the letter, Ben Chapman was killed. Remember that?
Yeah.
Was hit in the head, was killed. And of course, he called off all appointments and all. So, and they were leaving town. They were only in for the series. And I never got in touch with
You
them.
think if they'd have been generous to you then, you might have?
I don't know, because my idea was to go to New York because I lived right there. And I had the offer from the Yankees. And I wanted to play with them. In fact, I wanted to play with the Giants, where my brother was over there then. But I wanted too much. They couldn't see that. So I didn't go there. Maybe it's just as well because McGraw was managing then. He was a hard son of a gun.
Yeah.
And my brother said, you wouldn't get along with him. I said, why? He said, you're too hard-headed, the both of you. You wouldn't get along. So I finally joined the Yankees. And I'd like to have stayed with the Yankees because you could have had some kind of a record then. That was the only good club I was ever with.
Yeah.
In fact, in St. Louis we finished third, I think, in 25 or 27-1. And then in Washington, where I had a terrible year, they finished fourth. And other than that, we were cellar clubs all the time.
That's too bad.
The Browns and the old Red Sox.
How many games do you think you might have won that you didn't win?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. You know, they talk about pitchers doing this and that, and they forget about the clubs behind them. Now, pitching might look... I remember one year, George Earnshaw, I had a better earned run record than he had, and he won 25 or 26 games, and I lost 18 games. Of course, it was the club you had behind you, so you couldn't tell. It was... and if you said anything, I think you're alibiing, so especially to reporters.
A good example is Walter Johnson.
Yeah.
He was with the second division club all his career till right at the end there.
It makes all the difference in the world who you're with and who's playing behind you.
Did you pitch against Walter Johnson? Probably did.
No, I don't ever remember pitching against Walter because he went out the year that I went in 24. He went out in 24, I think.
No, around then.
But I pitched against Cobb and Speaker and that bunch.
Did that get you a little nervous? Or were you... It's not like you had any nerves like that, huh?
You just figure you did or you didn't. That was one thing or the other. You knew they were great ball players.
Did you have a pitching coach with the Yankees that year?
No, he didn't have anything.
Did you have to pick it up on your own?
Oh, yes. The only thing I learned from them was the fellas on the club, like Joe Bush and Pennock and those, and they were mighty nice. I was just a kid going in there green, but they were real nice. And if you wanted to know anything, went up and asked them, they'd tell you. But they weren't running after you to tell you. But they helped you if they could. But coaches, nowadays, they have all kinds of coaches for hitting, pitching, running bases, and everything. Those days, you had a guy on third and one on first. We used to call them ball boys because that's practically all they were.
You often hear about young players going up and the old-timers make it as difficult as they can for them, because they might be
but I think that was back in the before my time even, because all the time I really enjoyed my 11 years up there. I got one. To tell something that they wouldn't print, I guess.
We heard quite a few that time.
Now, Babe was pretty much to himself. He had a couple of guys on the club. Bob Musel and he were pretty good buddies, and Joe Bush.
Hoyt, did he come around with
Hoyt? He and Hoyt didn't get along too well. Hoyt was a pretty high-class boy. And I liked Wade. I heard from him. A few years back, he wrote me. He was broadcasting in Cincinnati, for years. I don't know whether he's still there or not.
No, he's retired from actors.
Well, he was coming down with the club and asked me to see if I could find him some reservation somewhere over in St. Pete. So I heard from then. He wrote me a long letter.
I spent 3 hours with him one evening.
He's still in good shape, isn't he?
He's, I guess he's, from what I've heard, he's failed somewhat.
Is that right? Yeah. Did you happen to, by any chance, see Red Ruffy?
Yeah.
Red's, they tell me Red's in bad shape.
Yeah, this was back about 3 or 4 years ago. He
was he in a wheelchair?
In a wheelchair. Yeah. His right arm is strapped to his waist here. It's totally useless.
Oh,
to keep it from flapping the strap. But his left arm, I believe, is all right.
What, did he have a stroke or what?
Yeah, he had a couple of strokes and heart attack.
Yeah, he was...
and he was a big...
Mentally, he was sharp and like...
Where does he live?
He lived in a little village called Beechwood outside of Cleveland.
He was a great pitcher. You know, there's an instance of the kind of a ball club you're with.
Yeah.
Red used to lose, like the rest of us. We're all in the same boat. We'd lose 16 to 18 games a year. And Red was right along with us. And he went over to the Yankees, and heck, he was a star. Yeah. Never changed his style of pitching or anything. He just had the ball club.
That's right.
He was a nice guy. I liked Red. We trained, when we trained then, we were over in Pensacola. In fact, we trained right here in Bradenton.
The Red Sox did?
About 1930, I think. That's probably before you were born.
That's flattering.
But we trained here. They had an old hotel down here, the old Dixie Grand. And I remember that just as well. And last year, a couple of years ago maybe, they tore it down. You know this fella that blows up the buildings and they just fall down? That's what they did with this thing here. An old timer.
Why did the Yankees send you off to St. Louis?
They wanted to get Shaka back. Remember Urban Shaka? They wanted Shaka. And where I got the bad break, they offered, well, Bush went over with me, I think, and pitcher by the name of Gion. And they wanted to send Pipgrass, who turned out to be a heck of a pitcher, as you know. And George Sisler insisted, no, me. They wanted me to send me. So I had to go. So I only stayed with the Yanks one season after I went out all the trouble of signing with them. I was shifted off. That was my bad break, really. The only bad break I can say that I got, that I didn't stay with the club that was up there.
But did you get more of a chance pitching with the Browns than you would have with the Yankees?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was strictly a relief pitcher with the Yankees.
What was Bullet Joe Bush like?
Joe was a nice guy. He was a big, strong, bullish guy, a great pitcher. But he was tough.
Rough and ready.
Rough and ready. He was rough and ready. He died some time ago.
How did you like George Sisler as a manager?
George was just one of those guys. He was too nice a manager. He was just too nice. He wouldn't get on anybody. He wouldn't. He wasn't cut out to be a manager. That's all. He was a great ball player, one of the greatest. But he would not. He was afraid of hurting people's feelings. He was softy about it. But well, Cobb, on the other hand, was rough and tough, and he was no good as a manager. So what are you going to do?
I guess it didn't matter how good you were as a player.
No. I think one of the best managers, and I never played with him or against him, was Al Lopez.
That's what they say.
Lopez, there's three outstanding managers, in my opinion, that I know of. One of them was Lopez. One of them was Bill McKechnie and Miller Huggins. I mean, that studied the game and knew what it was. Now, Huggins weighed 110 pounds soaking wet. And you ought to see him, boss, got those big bullies around there.
Except Ruth.
And except Ruth. Well, there was the factions I was talking about. See, Ruth had his gang. Was on Houston, I guess, was on his side. And Rupert, there was a bunch that he controlled on the other side. But Ruth did what he pleased. Anyway, what were you going to do with a guy like that? He'd go out there and hit a couple of home runs and
pack the people in.
Pack the people in. You couldn't do anything about it. And he was a big, he was just a nice beast. I liked him.
Who was Baby Doll Jacobson with you there? And
He
Johnny
was
Tobin,
there.
or?
Johnny Tobin, Jacobson, and Sisler. That's probably the better known ones that you would know.
How about your infield besides Sisler?
They had, I was trying to think of the infield.
Gerber? Wally Gerber?
Wally Gerber, yeah, that's right. Wally Gerber. And old Ken Williams was in the outfield. He was from out on the coast. Wallace, somewhere around there.
To hit the ball.
Oh,
it was a pretty good team. With Tobin,
well, in
Jacobson.
25, I can't remember, it was 25 or 27, we finished third. But they had their big year in 22, I think, when they won the pennant. And then they started to go downhill. But after that, we really never had anyone. When Sisler's eyes went bad, that was half the club right there. And Jacobson started to slow down. No, all those guys were getting old. Jacobson and Tobin and Gerber, they were all on their way down. They all had one good year there.
How about your catcher? Who caught you over there?
Leo Dixon and kid by the name of Conley and Red Hargrave. Not you remember Hargrave was with Cincinnati?
There's two of them, weren't there?
Red and Pinky, I think they call them. I think the one that was with us was Pinky. Oh, they did have a good catch in there. Hank Severy.
Oh,
Hank was a good hitter. It's like you say, they had some good ball players.
yeah, I think they had a better record over those years there.
Well, as I said, they were, by the time I went over, they were all on their way. They were getting older. They were on their way down. Since 22, that's when they had their really good year. Marty McManus was another infielder that was good ball player.
You had a very good record in 25 there, one of your best.
Yeah, that was about the
15,
best year I
14.
had, 25. I think that's the year we finished third, if I'm not mistaken. Because in 25.
Did you take any delight in beating the Yankees if you did?
Oh, sure. I used to love to pitch against the Yankees because if you beat the Yankees, you beat the best in the business. So one day we were in Boston, and I pitched the game over in Boston. I beat the Red Sox. And you talk about being misquoted. When we got around these reporters, I was sitting around the hotel lobby chewing the fat, and I said, I'd rather pitch against the Yankees than anybody. I'd rather beat the Yankees. And, it's just an offhand remark. And they had a headline over the knee with a sporting sheet.
I'll put it up in the locker room.
Yeah, see, did they give me the raspberry when I got to New York? And I didn't say anything that was out of context. I just wanted to tell them that naturally I would rather beat the Yankees. But it said, yes, would rather pitch against the Yankees than anybody. As much as to say they're just soft stuff. And I always pitched good ball against them, but I usually got beaten in a tight ball game.
How'd you pitch to Ruth and Gary?
No way to pitch to those fellas. You just mixed them up and did the best you could with them. I had better luck with Ruth than I did. Gary Gorlow, I made the Hall of Fame almost coming in the back door because Ruth hit more home runs off me than he did off any pitch in the league. And, Rube Wahlberg used to be with the heck of a pitcher. He hit 4 off Rube and 4 off me that year. So I got in I stayed in the papers for a long time. Even when I was over here in Tampa, we lived in Tampa for quite a while. And the sport writers over there used to talk about it. And Ruth he was a funny guy. He used to call me cousin. Hey, God.
Well, you call your kid. Everybody else did.
Yeah.
Which park did you like to pitch in best? Did you have any favorites, or some more problems in some than others?
So some of them were short. In St. Louis, where I spent 3 years in St. Louis, and you could throw the ball out in the bleachers in the right field in St. Louis. I think Chicago I liked as well as any because it was regular. It was about 3:30, I think, down each line, and
you got to catch us in action here. From my
it was about 3:30 down each line, and if they hit a ball, they had to hit it pretty good. But in St. Louis, and even in the Yankees, except out in the outfield when they started to go out towards the field, in those days anyway, was a short right field, 290, something like that. But I think I liked Chicago as well as anything.
Did you think that Ruth would hit so many home runs in another ballpark?
I think so, because he didn't hit cheap home runs. I know a lot of these other fellas probably wouldn't. But Ruth, when he hit them, boy, they were hit. So there was fellas hitting home runs. There's fellas hitting home runs now that just don't have any business doing it. And I think that's because of the ball. They're live in the ball.
And all they emphasize is hitting the long ball.
They're the fellas that make the money.
The scientific game seems to have been abandoned. They play for a run or two.
Well, that's what I loved about players like Cobb. Gee, he was a master tactician. He'd walk maybe to the first base. He'd steal second. He'd probably go to third on an infield out and score on a sacrifice fly or something. And in those days, a couple of runs they didn't score them like they do now.
He could hit home runs, I guess, but just didn't try it.
He hit one on me one day, I always remember. Something funny, I think, stand out in your mind. It was in St. Louis, and I got him out about 3 times. And the 4th time, he come up and I used to throw a forkball. You know, the one you hold between your fingers? And I threw him a forkball, and boy, he hit it. They stood on home plate. He said, "I knew you would throw me that sooner or later." So he was right. He hit the thing. But he was one of the greats. He and Ruth, I think, were the greatest ball players I ever saw. He could do more things than Ruth, but Ruth was in a class by himself when it comes to slugging. Oh. And he was a good outfielder. A good outfielder. They overlooked that because he was hitting from
Well, he had a great pitching record for everyone.
And he was a great pitcher. He was just a natural. Gee, it's a shame he went so soon. He and Gehrig both. And Gehrig was younger than him.
How about Chris Speaker?
Oh, another
pitch
great
too.
one. Another great one. He used to play, in those days, they didn't play way back by the fences, when they were hitting. He played a short center field. But he could go get a ball with anybody.
He'd really go back at
Oh,
it.
yes.
I've heard it said he made a couple of unassisted double plays by catching a low line drive over second on the run and coming in and
I wouldn't doubt it,
doubling
because he played a short center field. But as you say, he could go back, and they didn't hit the ball like they do now. These outfielders now, they back up against the fence almost, and they have to, because I don't care what they say about the ball, it's been made lively. There's no question about it.
Where was it? We were over at Zinn Beck's house in Sanford earlier this week.
Yeah,
I don't know if you remember Zinn Beck.
I remember.
He's 95 years old. He has a couple of balls cut right through the middle, showing the center. One in 1932, which was getting lively then, but one of the mid-70s, and you can see the different makeup of the ball, which made this 76 or 70 ball so far more lively,
Yeah, the center of it.
Yeah.
They claim it was the center. It was. They used to have a cork center, which was lively enough, and then they had some kind of a rubber with some kind of a liquid inside of it. What kind did he have?
I've forgotten that.
He had the one with the big cork, and then the other one was almost solid rubber,
Yeah.
with just a little teeny weeny bit of cork in the center.
Yeah. And they've purposely made them lively because, as you said, people want to see that home run. That's what they pay for.
It is a thrill.
Look at Kingman. He
Strikes out.
He looks terrible at that bat, and at the same time, if you get it anywhere where he can hit it, he'll hit it out of the park. And there's a lot of hitters like that. As long as they hit that long ball, and they go for that because that's where the money is.
They drive it. As Ralph Connor said, they drive Cadillacs.
That's right.
How about Blig Park in Cleveland? That is kind of a tough right field there, but or short one. That's where I grew up.
Oh yes, I remember. It was a short right field. Very short. They had a big
290
screen up there.
Yeah, 290 feet and about a 40-foot screen or something.
Yeah.
So
That was
you have to be careful
It was
there.
kind of tough there. Well, of course, you had to change your style of pitching if you're pitching in a ballpark like that. And in Boston, they had a short left field.
How would you change it?
Well, suppose a guy is an inside hitter. You wouldn't dare throw him an inside ball in Boston. I mean, he isn't an inside hitter, he's an outside hitter. But still, you've got to throw to his strength, because if you threw it inside, I could pop one over there myself. I remember Walter Johnson hit one up there when I was with Boston, beat some club, hit it up in that screen in right field, and he couldn't hit.
Well, did you like your years in St. Louis?
Yes, I like St. Louis. That's where I met my wife. So I better say I like it.
How'd you meet her?
You know Danny McFadden?
Yeah.
He's my brother-in-law.
Is that right?
Yeah. He and my wife and his wife are sisters. In fact, she lives here in Bradenton. She moved down in, because Danny died in 66, I think. They lived in Maine, so she moved down here. So,
did he introduce you to?
no, there was some other player on the St. Louis club that knew her sister and introduced me to her. So we've been married for 52 years.
She She liked baseball from the start, or you have to?
She didn't know much about it, but she learned to like it. She's interested in it now. In fact, I'm probably as big a fan now as I ever was, because that thing there will make a fan out of you. Especially when you're retired and don't have much to do. I'm very much interested. I go for most any kind of sports. Anything but wrestling.
Or boxing, maybe. Boxing was something that was very popular in the 20s, wasn't it?
It was popular, and I took a liking to boxing. I like boxing now, good boxing. But now some of these things they put on there, they're not much. I like football. But of course you get saturated with it now here. They give you too much of it. I don't think it does them any good. This club over here in Tampa.
Quite a year, didn't they?
How about that? It's come from nowhere.
4 years ago they were losing everything.
That's remarkable. But this fellow McKay, when they brought him from California, he said, give him 5 years. And he lost 26 straight games. And boy, they thought never in 100 years would he get a club.
That's some good drafting.
Oh, he drafts him, and he knows he's a great guy for defense. And that's what made that club.
Did you play any football in high school? Or?
I played it till I get a bad knee and then I quit. I still can feel sometimes.
Did it bother you in baseball?
No, never did.
Did you ever have sore arm problems?
Never had a sore arm, doggone it, until the last 1930 in Boston. I come up with a sore arm and I never did get over it.
Okay.
In fact, I bluffed my way through for 3 more years over in Chicago. I didn't have anything.
What about the trade to Washington? What was that?
I just as leave forget that.
Oh, dear.
Because I went to Washington. I had a terrible year. Now, why? The only reason I can think it was 27 was I had a good year. 27 with St. Louis. Well, with that club, it would be considered a good year. And I went to Washington. Of course, they expected I was going to do.
Were you
things
traded,
over there.
or
I was traded. Yeah.
who were you traded for? Remember?
Gee, I don't remember.
Were you excited about it, or unhappy, or didn't you
No.
just take it in stride?
No, I took it in stride. Luckily, I was traded 4 or 5 times, but every time I was traded, it was after the season was over. I was never traded during the season, which is tough if you, because you break up living habits and all in whatever city you're in. But I was always traded after the season was over. So I went over to Washington, and the year before I had a pretty good year in St. Louis, and I whooped it up that winter, thought I was pretty good. And I got fat. And when I went over there, boy, they ran me. Bump Hadley, remember him?
Yeah.
Bump was over there too, and he was fat. And they ran us in spring training till our tongue was. We couldn't. And I use that for an excuse. I don't know whether it is or not. But I didn't have a good year at all over there.
Was Walter Johnson managing then?
No, Bucky Harris was
Harris.
his. And Harris didn't think much of me, so I didn't blame him. So I was traded then to Boston. When I was happiest in Boston. I had pitched some good ball. We didn't have the ball club.
Was Jackie Hayes with in Washington?
Jackie Hayes. He was in Washington. You know, he went blind.
Yeah, we interviewed him.
Did you?
Years ago over in Alabama there.
And he went blind.
Yeah.
Isn't that terrible?
He is, but his courage is the greatest.
Is that right?
He just,
Oh, he was always a live wire.
yeah, he just
Still is.
never let that get him down, and there's been a really
Isn't that
been a real example to blind boys and girls, you know, that have this ahead of them.
How about
He shows what can be done.
What was it? Glaucoma or?
He doesn't know. No one knows. Just dizziness developed in 1940 spring training.
Isn't that something?
So, I was wondering if he was on that team with you there.
He was over there, and Fred Marbury,
Oh, yeah.
remember him? He was a great relief pitcher. I understand Fred lost an arm or something
Oh,
after he got out. And Joe Judge was on first base.
Good judge.
Ossie Bluegee. Joe Judge was a good ball player. Muddy Rule.
How about shortstop?
Young Reeves was shortstop then. Bobby Reeves. Yeah.
And you have in the outfield Earl McNeely, was he around?
Goslin.
Rice, Sam Rice.
Sam Rice. And
Schulde, or I guess he was.
no, he wasn't there. Can't think of him.
That was a pretty good ball club too.
They had a good ball club. They finished fourth that year. And if they got any pitching, especially for me, which I didn't do anything, and they could have been right up. In fact, in 1924, when I joined the Yankees, we lost the pennant to Washington by about a game and a half or so. That was a doggone it. I wanted to be in that World Series. We were getting closer and closer all the time. And they beat us out at the last. That's when Walter Johnson was pitching for them. Roger Peckinpah, Muddy Rule.
Yeah, Peckinpah just lived a few blocks away from her family there in Cleveland.
Is that right?
And I saw him a couple of times.
You run into quite a few of them, then,
Yeah, about 75 or so up till now.
Is that right?
And it's been, we begin to talk to people who've talked to other people, you know, and a lot of fill-ins here. You know.
There's quite a few of them around this neighborhood.
Do you know Henry Ward Johnson?
Henry Johnson. In fact, I was down when we first came down here, about 6 years. It'll be 6 years in July. I went over to get my driver's license, plates, I think, at the tag agency, and I gave them a check for the plates. Of course, they had to okay the check, and they sent me over to this fellow sitting at a desk over there, and I gave him the check, and he looked at it and he says, "You still live at the same address?" I thought, what's he getting tough with me for? I don't know this yet. I said, "Yes, I do." He stuck out his hand. He said, "Henry Johnson." I didn't know. Oh, it's years since I've seen him.
Do you live far from here, or you know?
I don't think he's too far from here. I don't know just what section he lives in. But you know, he was brought up here.
No, I see.
I think he was born in this. His folks were old times. In fact, there was an article not too long ago in one of these sporting columns. This fella thought that they ought to name Payne Field down, not Payne Field, the one down here in Bradenton, name it Henry Johnson Field. That wouldn't be bad. You know, Jack Russell is over here in Clearwater.
He's the one in Clearwater.
They named it after him over there.
And Al Lopez.
Al Lopez Field. Russell had quite a career after he came out. He was a city commissioner. He was a top-notch amateur golfer.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. He played. I think he won the seniors one year. Still plays a lot.
Where did you spend your winters in these years in baseball?
Down here. Clearwater.
Did you have a home, or just?
No, I didn't then. We stayed in Clearwater for 2 or 3 winters, and then I bought a home over in Tarpon Springs.
Did you go back to New Jersey much, or?
No, I went back. I was the last time I was up there was 8 or 10 years ago. We had a reunion. One of my 2 brothers are gone now. They passed on, but they were alive then. And they said, "Oh boy, Milt's coming from Florida. Let's get the game." We had a terrific time up there. And then one of my brothers, Alec, the ball player, moved to California right after that. And that's where he passed on in last year, in February.
You do a lot of hunting or fishing? Or
Not anymore. Not anymore.
In the off season those days?
I used to in the off days, yes. In fact, that's where I kept in shape. Hunting, fishing, played a little golf. I never played a whole lot of golf, but I used to love to hunt and fish. I'd fish. My wife said, "My God, you fish day and night, and any time they're in there, I'll get them."
So you wanted to come down here, maybe, huh? Part of the reason, I guess.
I came down here, and I thought that when you come to Florida, you know, it was just a tropical country and that's all there was to it. You didn't have to put on heavy clothes, and I bought a big fishing rod, a sea rod, everything that went with it. I soon learned that it gets pretty cold down here sometimes.
We're tent camping on this trip, and we found that out last night up in
You ran
Tampa.
into a cold night last night.
We sure did.
We bundled up. I think my fingers are still not thawed out yet.
Where were you?
Outside of, near Busch Gardens up in Tampa. just
Oh, yeah.
outside of it.
Yeah.
Got down about 30 up there, I think.
Well, I lived in Tampa for 30 years. I had to come over from Tarpon Springs. Went to Tampa, lived there about 30 years, and then went into the last job I had over there was a deputy sheriff. And I was with the sheriff's office for about almost 17 years. And then I retired. And I thought we might like to live in Maine, but boy, that's too cold for me. So we come back here. Well, I wanted to come back to a small town, but Braden's is not a small town anymore. No, boy.
Bumper to bumper traffic down here.
Oh, yeah, they're busting at the seams, especially this time of the year during the winter. And I'd like to be in a small town, but the trouble is you want your cake and eat it too, because you can't have everything. You wouldn't have all the conveniences and stores and things that the women like, you know.
Tell me about after Washington, were you sold or traded? How'd you go up to Boston?
I was traded to Boston in one of those multiplayer trades when Buddy Meyer and I went to I don't remember who went over with me, but it was about 4 or 5 players concerned with it, and I went over there. And I had some of my better years in Boston.
How'd you feel about that trade?
I liked it. I liked the idea. Because I had a sister living in Boston. And I liked the town. Not that I didn't like Washington. We didn't take advantage of Washington when we were there, of seeing things, of the historic things and all that were there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked Boston. I think some of my best times we had. It all depends on who you meet and what kind of a year you have and so forth, which towns you know. I, of course, would like to have stayed in New York, because I lived there. Lived right across the river.
Who was your manager up there in Boston?
Well, we had Bill Carrigan for one.
Bill Carrigan.
You remember Bill?
The old catcher?
Yeah, the old catcher.
How was he?
He was good. He was good. He used to say, if I had anything but a pitching staff, he loved his pitching staff. That's all he had. Well, there was Red Ruffing, Danny McFadden, myself, Jack Russell, and Ed Morris, another big pitcher. He was a good pitcher. But you couldn't do anything. You had a sieve infield.
Did Carrigan never tell you to throw at their heads?
No, I never told you, but if you didn't do it, you didn't throw it to heads. Well, I never did anyway. You brush them off, we call them. And that's all you had to do, and let them know you were out there. I wouldn't dare throw it at a man's head. I threw at Al Simmons' shins one time, purposely. You know, he had trouble with his feet, and he was a terrific hitter. And the only way you could intimidate him was throw at his feet, because he had bad ankles. And he hollered to the umpire, and the umpire got after me. And I told him, I said, I'm sorry, the ball just got away. I couldn't help it. So we laughed about that.
He had that crazy stance. Was that because of his bad feet?
No, that was a natural stance.
That's not the way you're supposed to stand, is it?
No, when he came up there shooting, they said, he won't do. No, his foot's in the bucket a mile. He won't do. Shoot, he hit that ball.
He always got it back, hasn't he?
He was a great hitter. And a good ball player besides. You know, they overlook some of these fellas, like Ruth, for instance. He was a fine outfielder, but he hit so good that they just talked about nothing but his hitting.
Who came after Carrigan? The Tim Brown shaders? I think Bill, because he was a stop that still. He was the coach of Bill, was there. Real nice guy, but he wasn't much of a manager. Of course, managing to me is if you got the fellas that like you, and he showed a little authority, not this bombastic stuff and marking to somebody. I don't believe in that. That don't mean it. That's good for the cameras. But I don't believe in it.
It requires knowing your players and getting their respect.
No, and that's it. The respect is everything because they'll go out and do things for you. And if they don't, they're crazy because after all, they're doing it for themselves. But you get a man, he thinks he knows what he's doing. You won't have any trouble managing. If you got the horses. If you don't, you might as well just quit because they can't. Bill Carrigan, in fact, well, he managed the Red Sox way back in 1919 and then got out and they brought him back. He set the record.
Yeah, we're talking about Earl, the Boston team in 1930 and 31 there, 29. And some of the players, we mentioned Russ Scarrett, who had a couple of good years, I guess, maybe.
He had good years, and he was a real good ball player in Double-A. I still get in touch with Russ. He called me, well, last year he called me. I expected he might come down.
Oh.
No, he's from Pensacola.
Was that right?
Lived there all his life, I guess. And he called me last year, and I had a card from him, Christmas card this year. We get a card every year. I'm hoping that he might make a trip down this way one day, because he was a real good guy.
And Earl Webb had his great year we mentioned there.
Webb had to set the record for doubles that year. I don't remember which year it was, around 30, 31.
Tell the story again, if you would, about the Gruen watches.
Oh, we got, Webby kept us some Gruen watches. They gave one for every home run. So practically everybody in the club had.
A lot of home
Not
runs
that
there.
they hit the home runs, but Webby hit them for them.
Sound like she was. How about your infield in those days?
Let's see, we had Phil Tote on first base,
Phil Tote.
Bill Reagan on second base. I think Reeves came over there from Washington.
How about Hal Ryan? Was he with that team?
Hal Ryan, that's right. He was the shortstop. And
He'd been with Pittsburgh, I guess, before that.
yes, and I think
How about Pickering? Was there a Pickering then?
there was Pickering was a
Urban
catcher, I think, but he wasn't with the not with Boston. I was trying to think who was on third base. Odie Miller played third. Was he with Boston? Boston or I don't know. I can't say. But I don't remember who was there.
How did the town support the team in those days? in
Oh,
Boston?
Boston's a great ball town.
Even when the team
Even
wasn't
when
doing
we were losing, we would cellar dwellers all the time, but they'd still come out
How
there.
did that affect the team's morale?
Well, it doesn't help it any. You know, I used to play in St. Louis, and one Saturday, I believe it was on a Saturday, and there was 400 and some people at the ball game.
Okay.
And Washington came into town, and Nick Altrock. They didn't have a public announcer in those days, and I mean the system. They had the old megaphone, and Nick got the megaphone, and he asked all the folks to please move into one section so they could hear him. He was a funny guy. He and Altrock were with Washington when I was over there.
They put on their
They
stunts.
used to draw people themselves, you know.
I remember seeing them playing doubleheaders in Cleveland when they were coaching. Put on the stunts between the games.
Yeah.
Did a good job.
They were good comedians, both of them.
They knew their baseball too, I guess, didn't they?
Oh yeah, Nick was a top-notch pitcher. I never knew too much about Shaq. You know, I think he was a pitcher. I don't know whether
When they were coaching you, or coaching on the lines there, would they mix in a lot of their humor with the serious stuff, or how?
Not too much while they were on the lines. Once in a while.
You'd think they're so well known as comedians, it'd hard ever be able to take them seriously.
Well, They didn't always coach on mornings either. The funniest thing I saw on the coaching was one day over in Brooklyn. I think that was before I went up there. Casey Stengel was coaching over in Brooklyn, and it rained like the dickens, and they held up the game. Of course, they brought the tarpaulin out and put it on. And he went out there with a bucket and a big sponge. He was squeezing it in the bucket and throwing it away. And that was really fun. And only he could do it. Another great clown was Rabbit Marinville. When they'd get in some kind of a deal there where they had to hold up the game. Or they'd get in an argument. There'd be two fellas getting in an argument or arguing with the umpire, and he'd go around sparring with himself and finally hit himself and down and go. You had to see it to appreciate it.
How'd you get along with umpires?
Good. I think I was only thrown out one game that I remember. But I got along good.
If you remember that one game, you might.
I was smart enough to deal with them. I didn't want to get on the wrong side of them because they could hurt you. They know if they give you a little bit here, a little bit there.
Did you have any favorites or?
The best one I remember was. I can't think of his name. They had some good umpires, but I was just pointing this one out. Billy
Evans?
Billy Evans. He was he knew the book. He was a smart umpire.
He was a writer, too. He
Yeah.
wrote columns all the time.
That's what I say. He was smart. He knew what it was all about. If there was any question about the legality of a play or something, he usually had it at his fingertips.
Well, they do a pretty good job, you think?
Oh, they do a marvelous job. Gee, they're wrong with everybody.
Yeah.
No matter what happens,
Yeah.
he's got to be wrong with one or the other. Man, and this business nowadays, they exaggerate it, of course. As I say, that camera, that thing there, makes a different ball game. But look at Earl Weaver. He go out there, and oh boy, he's a great actor. And from what I understand, I don't know him, but they claim he's not a bad fellow at all. But you think he was the meanest guy in the world when he gets arguing with those umpires. And Billy Martin loves that camera too. Billy's out right now, isn't he?
I hope he stays out myself.
Yeah. I don't, there's no point to it. I mean, he's had all the chances in the world, gee.
Did you ever play night ball?
No, that's,
Came in after you left.
Came in 1930, 1935, I think it came in, because I remember I went over and worked out with the Cincinnati Club, trying to hook on with them.
Oh, I see.
And McPhail was running the club then. He was the boss. And he asked me what I thought of night baseball. I said, they're going to play night baseball. He said, what do you think? And I told him I thought it would be a pretty good idea. There'd be a lot of people couldn't get to them in the afternoon, and of course it turned out to be a great thing. Mm-hmm. And I had never seen a night ball game except once down in Terre Haute, Indiana, when I went down there. When I was with the Red Sox, come up with a bad arm, they sent me down there. This arm doctor down there, Doc Ferguson, he was an arm specialist.
I never heard of him.
And he couldn't do anything for me.
We heard about Bonesetter Reese.
Yeah, sure. He was very famous. But this fella and his brother, I think, finally went in too, as the arm specialist, but he couldn't do anything for me. My arm was shot.
What year was that, remember?
That was in 1930. 30, no, yeah, 30. No, 31, 31. Because I was traded over to Chicago in 32. And 32, 3, and 4, I didn't have it anymore. I was just bluffing my way through more than anything. I was lucky to hang on that long, I guess.
How could you buff, though? I mean, you had to get these guys out.
Well, you didn't have to have overpowering stuff. You knew how to pitch. And, of course, you didn't have too much success at it, but you had enough to get by.
What was your best pitch in your better days?
I think a fastball. I used to throw a forkball. And one day I'd have a lot of luck with it. Next day it wouldn't be worth a hoot. It wasn't like Suter. Suter can throw that thing every day. But one day I would have luck with it, and another day I wouldn't. Well, when you didn't have it, you just wouldn't use it. You'd go to something else. But I think a fastball is. And I also think if I had the coaching in those days, where they could tell you things, that you wouldn't know yourself or none of the other players are looking at the world, that it would help you. I mean, a good, smart pitcher out there would watch you and tell you what you might be doing wrong.
Did you call most of your own games as a rule?
Yeah, we got along. Now, Charlie Berry was my catcher over in Boston, and he and I got along good. We agreed. Oh, you'd shake a man off once in a while, but not too much. Over in St. Louis, I pitched most of my own game.
Did the manager interfere much in any of these teams you played with about the pitching?
No.
You knew
No.
what you were doing?
They figured if you were up there, you should know what you were doing. Wally Shang was catcher over there. Remember him? He was a catcher over in New York. And I never shook him off because he knew these hitters. In fact, I didn't shake them off very much.
Who was your catcher in Chicago? Would that be Luke Sewell? Or?
Muddy Rule was there, and
Sewell probably came later in the
no, Sewell wasn't there.
He was in Washington, I guess, wasn't he?
Sewell was with Cleveland.
Yeah, and then he went over to
And
Washington.
went to Washington, I think. But Muddy Rule did most of the catching.
Muddy Rule's a very smart baseball
Oh
man.
boy, he was smart.
Was he a lawyer?
He was a lawyer.
Is that right?
And a perfect gentleman. Well, he was class. He was class. Muddy passed on, I guess.
Did he ever practice law?
I don't think so.
Kind of hard to.
I don't know whether he did any during the winter, but he couldn't very well because after all, playing ball 5-6 months of the year, he may have had something to do with it, but I don't know.
So, you went over to Chicago in 32.
32.
Was that a trade or?
I was traded to Chicago from Boston. Gee, isn't that terrible? I can't think who I was traded for.
That's only 50 years ago.
That's only 50 years.
Or
You should
maybe
know.
60.
You shouldn't. There's some big left-hand pitcher. Can't think of his name. No, I don't remember the name.
Was Sam Jones with the White
Sam
Sox?
Jones was over there then.
He lived about 25 miles from us there.
Is that right?
In Marietta. He died in 66. And
He died comparatively young.
I never got over to really talk to him. I met him once or twice.
Sam was a great pitcher. Well, he was one of that great Yankee staff that I was telling you about.
He had Sam Gray, or was Gray with me?
Gray was there after me. He came later.
Was Lou Fonseca manager?
Fonseca was manager.
Was just Smead Jolly there?
Smead Jolly was there.
Oh, you had a lot of fun, didn't you?
And Smead would play the outfield. I think Smead, they tried to make a catcher out of him. But it didn't work. He couldn't catch his pop flies, his foul flies. So they put him in the outfield. He was a good hitter. It's a shame. And one day he played the outfield in Boston. And they had that embankment I told you about. And they instructed him. They told him, now, Smead, when you're going up after a ball, it's head up there towards the fence. Go up this way. Run up. And then come down. Don't try to run straight up the bank. So somebody hit a ball out there during the game, and old Smead played it perfectly. He ran up that way, And the ball fell short of the fence. So I had to come down again. He came down, he fell down. He said, hell, nobody told me about coming down off that bank. He was a funny guy, though.
Was his fun and humor and jokes natural, or did he?
I think it was natural.
You just
Yeah.
didn't have to make it up.
No,
or put
he
it on.
was just a funny guy.
Yeah. That keeps the team loose, I guess.
Oh, the fellow like that on the club is invaluable a lot of times. Stop that, boy.
How about Fonseca as a manager?
I like Lou. Lou and I got along good. A lot of them didn't like him. I like him.
Why was that?
And I don't know. He was a great hitter, you know. He won the title in both leagues. He won the batting title in the American League and in National League. Great hitter. And he could construct them. But I think you can't make. You might help a guy up there, but you can't make a hitter out of it.
Was Lou rather easygoing too? Would you say? Or?
Well, he was and he wasn't. As I say, they didn't have the horses, so it's hard to keep you cool in a case like that, I guess. But he and I got along good, even though I wasn't doing much over there. I never did much.
You got along pretty well with most of them then.
I didn't have any trouble with any of them. In fact, the year, as I say, I had that bad year in Washington. Harris got down on me. And I don't think he liked me very well. I never had a chance to find out. I never talked to him very much. But usually that's the way they are. If you're going good, you're all right.
Was Jackie Hayes with you again over here in Chicago? Or did he come? Yeah.
Yeah,
He was a good infielder, wasn't
he was a good infielder. Top-notch infielder.
he? And you had John Watwood?
No,
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't there. Nothing else.
I wanted to ask you about Phil Tote. That name always...
Bill Tote was a
Fascinating.
fine fielding first baseman. He was a fancy man, and he could field. Great fielder. But his hitting was so-so. But he was a good ball player. That was the trouble over in Boston. They didn't have the hitters. And they had some good ball players that come, but they didn't have anything else over there. I mean, they had the pitching.
Were you ever a teammate of Lou Blue? First baseman?
Bluegee?
Lou Blue,
No,
the first baseman.
no.
I thought he might have gotten over to Chicago eventually. He traded past around a few teams. I always liked that name. Lou's there, not Will Blue.
Lou Blue.
They call him Lou Blue.
Lou.
Yeah, Lou Blue, like Emolidi.
Yeah.
Some of these other interesting names. Well,
Oh, it was a great life. I really enjoyed myself the time I was up there.
any outstanding thrills?
No, whenever anyone asks me that, I tell them just the fact of being up there with these fellas was the thrill I got.
I think that's
Just being in the big
I
leagues
think
for
that's a great
11,
answer. Yeah.
for 11 years. Enjoying it.
These years with Chicago, where after your arm had gone, did we find out how your arm went bad? Did you mention?
It just went
No.
one of those. Now, you see, my big trouble is, here's the story about me. I pitched on the Sandlots, and I could beat anybody in the world when I was over there in Jersey, because of these good clubs. And in 1921, from 20 on, I had all kinds of offers to play. I wasn't in any hurry because I had a job over in New York, the county clerk's office, a civil service job. I could go out and make money pitching during the week.
I hope you didn't consider me rude.
No, that's and I could pitch a game during the week and make, well, $50, sometimes $75, which was good money in those days. So I was in no hurry. I just was in any hurry to sign. But as I was saying, I pitched until I was 19, 28. I was 28 years old before I went in the leagues. They thought I was about 23 or 24 years old.
Could I interrupt? Would you like a glass of beer or a glass of wine? Or Coca-Cola?
Yeah, he wants a beer. I could tell the way he said
Be fine.
Okay, how about you?
it. Yeah, I'll share one with
Well,
him.
then I'll have a Coke for you.
And you see, I pitched till I was 28 years old on the sandlots. And that was a lot of pitching in those years, or after all.
I didn't realize you were so
heck,
older when you went up.
if they knew that I was 38 or 39, they would have gotten rid of me before that. They thought I was about 4 or 5 years younger.
I see.
But I had pitched a lot of my baseball before I ever got the big, which was all right with me because I did well. I did all right.
Well, who was your manager after? Did Jimmy Dykes come after Fonseca?
Jimmy Dykes. Oh, Jimmy. It was a lark for him. Jimmy was a pretty good manager. But he didn't worry too much about it.
There.
But
Were you a reliever or did you start
no,
somewhere?
I was a regular.
Uh-huh.
In fact, that's the remarkable part of it. I relieved when I went with the Yanks. I was strictly a relief pitcher. I got in about 30-some games that year, and from then on, I was a regular. And I was a regular in every club I was with until the time I quit. Regardless how lousy I was still a regular.
Well, you won a few games over there with Chicago.
Not many.
You lost a few too.
We lost a few too. I think we all did. They had one of the greatest pitchers in the business over there, Ted Lyons.
Oh yeah.
I think he won 20-some games. Even with that Chicago club.
Did you ever come close to a no-hitter?
Well, they were talking the other day. My brother passed on in last February, a year ago. Last February. And they tell the story, of course, after a guy goes, and they start reminiscing. And they were talking about him getting a hit off me in St. Louis when he was with Boston. I was pitching to St. Louis. And I don't remember, they tell the story that I had a no-hitter going for 7 innings. And he got the
Your
first
own
hitter.
brother broke it up.
Oh, I don't know how true that was. I know it was a low-hit ball game, and he did get the hit.
Oh, I see.
But I don't remember whether it was going towards a no-hitter or not.
He doesn't really need a glass.
Thank you very much.
He doesn't need a glass.
He doesn't
It's a
drink
real
with a
tall
glass.
beer, isn't it?
Yeah. We usually, she and I split one. That's the extent of my drinking. I drink a beer, we have a beer every day.
Is there much drinking in any of those teams?
Not certain ones. There was always a few.
You're splitting one now.
There was always a few, but
Split one didn't move.
there wasn't as much as you might read about sometimes. Some of them overdid it. Ed Marshall, I was talking about, was a heck of a pitcher, big guy, and he liked his beer. I mean, his liquor.
He's the one
When
that
he
got killed.
Got killed.
Is that out of drinking?
It's awfully cold.
Well, he got killed when he was down home in Alabama before he came to spring training. They gave him a party or some kind. Ed could get mean. And I think that might have been what happened to him. But he was a good old boy. But when he got a drink in him, boy, he was mean son of a... Yeah. He was a tough son of a...
Let me
man.
ask Mrs. Gaston. Did you, well, go ahead. I'll ask you a couple of questions
Just like
here.
me. Whenever he starts to say something to me or wants an answer, I just process and light a cigarette.
Yeah,
Get
but
so put out.
not only that, you got to be careful what you say. 'Cause you
I have another one. Oh, you got it.
take that.
Wanted to ask you how you like baseball. Did you go to the games very often? And
I went to games, especially the time that Milt was pitching. I'd always go.
did it make you nervous when he was pitching?
Well, if it was in a close game with, you know what I mean. If you got by the 5th inning and had a lead, I was pretty well satisfied.
Did the wives sit together, the various teams he was with? Did you get to travel much with the team, or didn't wives
Well,
travel?
I came to spring training with them a couple of times, but the other times I stayed home.
During the season, though, they couldn't travel with the...
Yeah, you could travel, but I took advantage of that with visiting with his parents and with my sister, see, in Boston and New York.
Where you going? Where you going, Scoot?
Well, after...
Well, now you have my life story.
Oh, we're just getting
My
into
golly.
Oh, come on.
a couple of more loose ends here. After that 34 season, were you released, or did you...
Unconditional release. That was my Christmas present. I got
Is
it
that
during,
right?
I got it during December.
How'd they phrase it?
That's all. There was a regular little form in those days, and they had printing on there. I can't remember it exactly, but your contract has been assigned to so and so, or something else. I've forgotten just what, but they had written across the front of it here, unconditionally released. So you're through. That's it.
No further verbal communication at all, or just did you have a hint this might be coming?
Oh, I had expected really before that because of the years I was having up there. I wasn't any help to them. And I don't know. But I figured I got in 11 years, so I had no kick coming.
So what did in 35 then you tried to catch on with the Reds, you said?
35, I tried to catch on with the Reds, and I had this bad arm, as I told you. And I didn't do it any good over there. I hurt it worse. Then I went over to St. Petersburg, where Bill McKechnie was managing the Braves. And Bill was real, he's a nice guy. And he said, "Where have you been? I've been looking for you. I thought you were coming over fresh out." So I told him, well, I tried out with Cincinnati because Danny McFadden was over there, and I thought my wife and his wife, being sisters, would be together. So Bill gave me a uniform, put me out on the mound there to throw the hitting practice. And you could tell. And Frankie Frisch was there with him. And they were standing behind the cage when I was pitching, throwing batting practice. And I could see Frisch go like this.
Shaking his head.
I knew that, what that meant. So Bill told me, he even went in the clubhouse with me and talked to me. He asked me about my arm. And he said, "Gee, it's a shame, man." He said, if you can do anything, get it fixed up. He said, "You got a job." And I couldn't. It was gone. That was all there was to it.
I tried to get him to take a minor league managership.
Well, I tried to get a managing job, but you had to play it those days. I went up to the meeting in Atlanta. I wanted to manage over in, I had all kinds of minor league offers to pitch.
Oh.
But I couldn't pitch, so what was the sense? So I tried to get a managing job, and but you had to pitch in those days. They had managers that were playing, not particularly pitchers,
Yeah.
but playing at the same time. So I decided that was it. No, I didn't. I was going to be an umpire.
Oh.
And Ford Frick was the commissioner then. He was a good friend of mine because he, when I first broke in with the Yankees, he was a newspaperman over in New York. And he and I were good friends. And he told me, he said, "Why don't you go to umpiring, Milt?" He said, "I'll keep an eye on you." Well, that was all you needed if he kept an eye on you. You only needed encouragement. I couldn't umpire.
The old timers game.
I couldn't umpire, I tell you. I was the lousiest umpire you ever saw. I umpired a game between Cincinnati and St. Louis one time in spring training, and they like to kill me. I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't call it. So I decided that wasn't for me either. So I said, I guess I better go to work.
What'd you do?
When I first got out, I ran a filling station. I bought a filling station over in Tarpon Springs. I was going to get rich. I lost my shirt on that. I got out of there and I came to Tampa and managed a restaurant. And I quit that and then I went to the sheriff's office and I stayed. That's where I finally wound up. I was with them for about 16 years.
Deputy sheriff or the sheriff?
I got a rating out of it, a sergeant's rating.
In where? Braden here?
In Hillsborough, over in Tampa. See, we lived in Tampa for 30 years, wasn't it?
From 41.
41 to 70 something. Yeah, over 30 years.
You were from St. Louis, though.
Yes.
Do you have any Danny McFadden stories?
Now, Danny was a good pitcher.
Yeah.
Dan was a nice fellow. And he traveled around more than Milt did, though. He finally wound up at Bowdoin College.
Was he the coach up there?
of hockey and baseball.
Oh, hockey, huh? He
Yeah,
played hockey?
He coached up there for 20 years.
Yeah.
Retired.
It's pretty up there.
Oh, it's gorgeous up there.
I love it.
I love it in the summer.
Oh, on those drives, those roads, the winding roads.
Oh, it's beautiful in the summer, but boy, it gets too cold for me.
I have two 88-year-old cousins living up there, and
Me.
year round.
Some of those people you couldn't drag out of me. Now, Danny, he, not Florida to him, no sir. You couldn't get him out of that snow country.
I think they did give up their hospital
Yeah.
for the winter. They moved in, they usually moved in, last year they moved into a hotel in Portland. But this year they moved in someplace else, I don't know, because it's the original family homestead from the umpteen year one or something.
Well, he wasn't far from Portland. New Brunswick, that was only about 30 miles north of Portland. And Bowdoin was, he had a good job over there in Bowdoin College.
Something I like to ask players who played in the years you did is about the train travel.
Oh,
And some of those rides from Boston to St. Louis, or
They
from
were-
any place to St. Louis in the heat of the summer.
it was a pain in the neck, and you didn't have air conditioning, and you'd have your window open, and you know, when you're in your berth, and the old coal burners would throw those cinders back at you. Yeah.
You didn't fly by jet, did you? in those
Oh,
days?
no, we didn't fly at all. Everything was by train. One trip we made from Detroit to Cleveland and vice versa by boat. We'd go on boat.
really?
That was nice. We liked it.
I wonder why you
Over
did
there.
that. Just as a novelty,
I
or
guess so.
no trains?
It was nice. It was something different anyway.
You
Those
just-
trains weren't, I wasn't crazy about them.
On the long rides, you'd play cards and just while away the hours, and you talk
Nearly all-
baseball, or
No, most all of them had their little cliques where they played cards. You and so-and-so want to play bridge, and I want to play pinochle. But practically all of them were playing cards on those trips. In fact, on off days and all, that's mostly what we did.
I'm so sorry to hear about Charlie Berry died.
All right.
He was a lovely
Yeah, he's been dead quite a while.
he was quite an umpire too after
Yeah.
playing, wasn't
Yeah, he was a 20-year umpire.
he?
He came to see us a few years back when we were over in Tampa.
Was Moberg in any of the teams you were on?
No, I don't think I played with Mo. I remember playing against him, but I don't think he was on any of the teams.
You didn't play with Earnshaw either.
Yes, Earnshaw was over in Chicago, wasn't he?
That was another nice ball player.
See, we had, they spent a lot of money for that gang from Philadelphia. They had Dykes, Haas,
And,
Earnshaw, and Simmons. They brought them all over there. They were going to do big things,
Yeah.
but we didn't do anything.
Did they move the fence in a little bit for Simmons?
They moved the fence, and by golly, he got worse. No, they moved the home plate up about, I think, 10 feet. And every ball he'd hit would be right into the wind coming off that lake, you know, in Chicago. And boy, he'd hit him a mile and it'd go up in the air. He cussed that place.
So you What, did you do a lot of golfing during your?
No, I didn't play a whole lot of golf. I played some, but I didn't play a whole lot of it. I think if I had it to do over, I would, because now that's the game.
Do you think that would was harmful to a hitter?
No,
Is the stroke pretty much the same, or you can
I don't
transfer?
think it makes any difference to me. I'm not an authority because I never played enough of it, but I wouldn't think it would make any
We didn't have a farm.
difference. Huh?
We didn't have a farm.
Well, we had a lot of fun when we played. I'd never get serious about it. Now, Jack Russell over here in Clearwater, he got to be one of the best amateur golfers in the state. And he's still probably at his age a top-notch golfer.
As far as his Christmas card said, he was still playing.
Yeah. So he's had quite a career. He was a city commissioner over there. He ran for legislator or something. Got beat. And he was a senior champions one year. So he's had a good career.
Seeing that scrapbook there, the 1920 World Series, I was born in 21, so I missed that. And all I heard for all the years I grew up in Cleveland, she did too. All we ever heard was about the 1920 Cleveland team and the Indians, the world champions, the great year they had, about Speaker and the Chapman and of course, and Bagby and Kovalevsky. And as I was a growing boy, I would have given anything to have a pennant in Cleveland. And every time I saw you pitch, you beat us. And I got your Gowdy card in 1933. I think I tore it up or something.
Gowdy?
Yeah, those bubblegum cards.
Oh, yeah.
You must get those sent to you to sign,
yeah.
don't you?
Those little ones, I guess.
the
Still
colored
get those.
ones.
Yeah.
Now they got a new one that I don't understand. I get a couple of, usually about a couple a week, but they got a little card now with my picture on, and it evidently has just come out in the last few weeks. I mean the last few months, because I bet I've had 10 of them in the last couple of months, and I never saw one before.
I bet I know what that is. There's a group organized in New York to reprint pictures of ball players in the 20s and 30s on little. It was black and white, was it?
Yeah.
Black and white?
That's
Yeah.
probably what it is.
They call it TCMA.
Is that what
They
it is?
put out a series of about 300 or 400 in the 1920s and 30s.
Well, that's
And I've got all of those, so I'll have to check that over. Do you have any pictures of yourself in action handy that we might take a little look at? Yeah. I've got a...
Well, let me show you.